Lewis Hamilton just dropped a nuclear bombshell on retirement rumors, silencing critics with a defiant declaration about his Ferrari future. After a disastrous start to the 2025 season that has triggered intense speculation about an early exit, Hamilton has fired back with words that have sent shockwaves through the paddock. In a rare public appearance that has set social media ablaze, Hamilton confronted the mounting pressure head-on, with a message that leaves absolutely no room for interpretation. Please keep your fingers crossed. I'm not going to give up. We're going to keep getting better. Still we rise, right? Lewis Hamilton. These explosive comments appear to be a direct shot at former F1 driver Ralf Schumacher, who recently suggested that Hamilton might walk away from his Ferrari dream at the end of this season if his shocking performance decline continues. He's coming in second. Does this work better for what you're looking for? The intro is now more dramatic and attention-grabbing, using phrases like nuclear bombshell, shocking statements, sent shockwaves, and positioning the story as more confrontational.
Lewis Hamilton's officially joined Ferrari and he's already a fan favourite. The seven-time F1 champion impressed fans with his Italian. Fans couldn't get enough and reckon Duolingo's helped. Hamilton's excitement is clear, calling it one of those days he will never forget.
Hamilton's move to Ferrari was announced with great fanfare last year, but the reality has proven challenging. Through the first 5 races of the 2025 season, the 40-year-old has failed to finish higher than 5th in any Grand Prix. While there was a bright spot in China where Hamilton converted pole position into a sprint race victory, that success was short-lived, as he was later disqualified from the main race due to excessive skid block wear. The gap to teammate Charles Leclerc has been particularly concerning, with Hamilton qualifying no closer than 0.311 seconds behind in recent events, and finishing nearly 31 seconds behind in Saudi Arabia. Ralf Schumacher, brother of 7-time champion Michael Schumacher, sparked the retirement speculation during a recent appearance on Sky Germany's Backstage Pit Lane podcast. If it goes on like this, there's a risk that at some point he'll say, "Look, I don't want this anymore. I want to live my life now. I'm 40 years old. I'm so rich, I'm not doing this to myself anymore." Ralf Schumacher. Schumacher pointed to Hamilton's body language and apparent frustration, suggesting that the British driver is struggling mentally with his inability to match Leclerc's pace. Former Toro Rosso driver Jaime Alguersuari has echoed these sentiments, claiming that Hamilton's time has passed and suggesting Ferrari is not a winning team. Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur has publicly backed Hamilton, dismissing concerns about his performance as overblown. Speaking after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Vasseur insisted he remains 2,000% behind Hamilton. "I am not too worried. If you have a look on what he did in China or what he did in the race in Bahrain last week, the potential is there for sure," Fred Vasseur, Ferrari team principal. Vasseur acknowledged that Hamilton is struggling with the balance of the car and tire management, but believes these issues can be resolved. Former AlphaTauri team principal Franz Tost has offered a more technical explanation for Hamilton's difficulties, suggesting that the complexity of modern Formula One and the ground effect regulations introduced in 2022 may be at odds with Hamilton's driving style. Hamilton's example proves how complex Formula One has become, especially because it's all about hundredths of a second that can make the difference. Franz Tost. Hamilton's preferred driving style reportedly involves late braking and minute steering adjustments, techniques that can create instability with today's ground effect cars. This might explain Hamilton's frequent complaints about not being able to feel the SF25 beneath him. The upcoming Miami Grand Prix could prove crucial for Hamilton. As a sprint weekend, the lower fuel loads required for Saturday's 19-lap race might allow Ferrari to run the car in a more optimal setup. Ferrari has confirmed they will run a special one-off livery in Miami, with Hamilton, Leclerc, and Vasseur set to unveil the new-look SF25 on Wednesday. Former Haas team principal Günther Steiner has expressed concern about Hamilton's mental state, saying he's worried about Hamilton losing his confidence and creating a backwards race of declining performance. With Hamilton's multi-year contract believed to run until the end of 2026, both driver and team will be hoping for improvements soon. The seven-time world champion's message is clear. He's not ready to walk away just yet. For F1 racing news, stay tuned for more coverage as we approach the Miami Grand Prix weekend. Breaking news in the world of Formula One as Sky Sports F1 pundit Martin Brundle delivers a stark warning to seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton. According to Brundle, Hamilton is going in the wrong direction at Ferrari and appears unable to adapt to his new machinery. This comes after another disappointing qualifying session at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, where Hamilton's struggles were laid bare for all to see.
Sector 3 is the wettest.
Is more rain coming?
Negative. Just this. Hopefully. Let's see. Still raining in the pit lane.
The much-hyped move of Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari was supposed to be the fairy tale ending to an illustrious career. Instead, it's turning into something of a nightmare for the seven-time champion. At the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, Hamilton qualified a distant P7, over half a second behind teammate Charles Leclerc. But it was during free practice 3 where the extent of Hamilton's struggles truly came to light. Let's listen to the revealing team radio exchange that caught Martin Brundle's attention. How far am I down on the sectors? Adami. 7/10 first sector, 4/10 second sector. And we aborted the last sector. Hamilton. Geez.
Okay, Lewis, how was the car?
Car was very hard to drive today.
What is the problem?
So mate,
Alright, and what about the braking?
that was not good.
Okay, box this lap, please, box this lap.
Yeah, just keep working hard.
That one-word response says it all. A driver who once dominated Formula One now finding himself over a second off the pace and losing massive chunks of time in individual sectors. Martin Brundle, who has been following Hamilton's career closely for years, didn't mince words when analyzing the situation. A Formula One car goes a very long way in 7/10 of a second. No wonder Lewis was exasperated to get those numbers. But more concerning was Brundle's assessment of Hamilton's trajectory at Ferrari. He's not dialed in. In fact, I think he's going in the wrong direction with that Ferrari in terms of setup, driving style, whatever. It's not working. He seems to be falling away, rather than moving towards where he needs to be. This is particularly troubling given Hamilton's historical ability to extract performance from difficult cars. Brundle further described watching Hamilton's struggles as almost uncomfortable viewing and listening, a sentiment shared by many longtime observers of the sport. To understand the magnitude of this situation, we need to look at Hamilton's qualifying record over the past year. During his final season at Mercedes in 2024, Hamilton suffered a crushing 19-5 defeat to George Russell in qualifying. Many hoped the fresh start at Ferrari would rejuvenate Hamilton, but the pattern appears to be continuing. While he did secure a sprint pole and victory in China, a rare bright spot, he has yet to finish a Grand Prix ahead of Leclerc. Hamilton himself seems aware of the issues, telling media after Friday practice. Normally, Saturday goes backwards, but there's not a lot of backwards for me to go from where I am. A brutally honest self-assessment from a champion who appears to be running out of answers. It would be unfair to place all the blame on Hamilton. The Ferrari SF25 has shown inconsistent performance across the season, with even Leclerc struggling to extract maximum performance. During FP3 in Saudi Arabia, Leclerc radioed his team with a concerning message. This, I feel, is the limit of the car. I cannot go faster in the corners. It's just sliding from all four tires. After qualifying, Leclerc expressed doubts about Ferrari's recent upgrades, claiming the gap to the front is pretty similar to before, despite improvements introduced in Bahrain. So while Hamilton is clearly struggling more than his teammate, there are underlying issues with the car itself that may be exacerbating his difficulties. The question now becomes, can Lewis Hamilton turn this situation around? At 40 years old and with a career spanning nearly 2 decades in Formula One, time is not on his side. The partnership with race engineer Riccardo Adami is still new, and building that crucial driver-engineer relationship takes time. However, The pace at which modern Formula One develops waits for no one, and Hamilton's multi-year contract with Ferrari means both parties need solutions quickly. With younger talents like Lando Norris, Charles Leclerc, and Max Verstappen continuing to set the pace in Formula One, Hamilton faces perhaps the greatest challenge of his career, proving that he can still adapt to a new team and a different car philosophy at this stage of his career. As we head into tomorrow's Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, all eyes will be on the number 44 Ferrari to see if Hamilton can defy Brundle's assessment and find some performance. But the warning signs are clear. The Lewis Hamilton who dominated Formula One for nearly a decade may be running out of the adaptability that once defined his greatness. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you after the race for full analysis and reaction.
Just give me a gut feel, one word. Has he got it in him still with Ferrari to win lots of races still, or is that asking too much?
No, he can win races with Ferrari. Can he win another championship? Tall order. A lot of good kids around.
Has the F1 world completely written off Lewis Hamilton too soon? Could the seven-time champion silence his critics by storming to multiple victories in Ferrari red? And why is Martin Brundle going against every Sky F1 expert who believes Hamilton's championship days are over? Today, we're diving into the bombshell prediction that has divided the paddock. While most pundits have crowned Lando Norris as champion in waiting, Martin Brundle has made a stunning forecast about Hamilton's Ferrari debut that nobody saw coming.
It would be electric to see Hamilton in a Ferrari, but what did Lewis say to us? I love the colour red. Red is passion. I've got red in my crash helmet. I would love to be dressed in red to an extent, but
I'm about to reveal why one of F1's most respected voices believes Hamilton will prove the doubters wrong in spectacular fashion, despite being outperformed 19-5 in qualifying by George Russell last season. Stay with me as we unpack this controversial take that has the entire F1 community buzzing. In a statement that sent shockwaves through the F1 community, Sky F1 commentator and former F1 driver Martin Brundle has gone completely against the grain with his prediction for 2025. While his colleagues have all but dismissed Hamilton's chances, Brundle declared, "My bold prediction for this season is that Lewis Hamilton will win more than one race in a Ferrari. This isn't just any prediction. This is about the most successful driver in modern F1 history, making the most dramatic team switch since his Mercedes bombshell back in 2013. Hamilton arrives at Maranello with the weight of Ferrari's passionate fanbase on his shoulders, and with serious questions to answer after his disappointing 2024 campaign. The numbers don't lie. Hamilton makes this Ferrari move with significant doubters to silence. In 2024, he suffered comprehensive defeat to former Mercedes teammate George Russell in both race and qualifying head-to-heads. The qualifying statistics are particularly alarming. Russell dominated 19-5 across the season, raising serious questions about Hamilton's single-lap pace as he enters his 19th F1 season.
And I also think linking up with Fred Vasseur is a brilliant way to go full circle.
Right.
Because Fred was his team boss in Formula 3 and GP2, and I believe fervently created the most potent version of Lewis Hamilton that has ever existed. And I include the seven-time Formula One world champion version of Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
When he was at McLaren, he was always kind of like, they were trying to restrict him, pigeonhole him into this
Fit
thing.
in the box.
Even at Mercedes, he was never that free.
Okay.
And now he is Sir Lewis Hamilton, the greatest of all time. If he can help Lewis to untap that version of himself again, it's going to be the greatest comeback.
Yeah.
You imagine it, 26 in that Ferrari. I honestly don't think there's a single person that watches Formula One who doesn't think that Lewis is worthy of an 8th title and how great it would be to have Lewis win an 8th world championship. And if he does it at Ferrari with Fred, the whole thing coming together, I think it would be absolutely
epic.
At 40 years old, many believe Hamilton's best days are behind him. Not a single Sky F1 analyst picked him to win that record-breaking 8th world title in 2025. Not one. This despite Hamilton's unrivaled experience with 105 race victories and 7 world championships.
So, will I be surprised if it's a hardcore Lewis Hamilton Drivers' Championship, a hardcore Red Bull Constructors' Championship with Sergio Perez finishing P3? Let me rephrase that. That will not surprise me if Sergio Perez is P2 or P3 in the Constructors' Championship next year. However, based on how I've seen, if we're making really strong predictions for next year, it would be is a non-zero possibility, and I think it'd be pretty gnarly if Lewis Hamilton still wins. Sorry, if Max Verstappen wins, Lewis Hamilton's a P2, and especially with Charles Leclerc, then it comes down to Charles Leclerc or Sergio Perez.
Yeah.
When Sky assembled their all-star panel, including lead commentator David Croft, pit lane reporter Ted Kravitz, 2016 world champion Nico Rosberg, and 1997 world champion Jacques Villeneuve, the verdict was clear. Hamilton isn't expected to challenge for the title. Norris dominated the voting with 6 experts, including Hamilton's former rival Rosberg, backing the McLaren driver to secure his maiden world championship. Defending 4-time champion Max Verstappen received just 2 votes, while Charles Leclerc, Hamilton's new teammate, received a single vote from Williams development driver Jamie Chadwick. In the constructors' battle, the panel's prediction was similarly decisive. McLaren is favored to beat Ferrari by a margin of 7-3, suggesting Hamilton and Leclerc might not have the machinery to challenge consistently. Ted Kravitz offered a fascinating insight into the competitive nature of the upcoming season, predicting that 8 drivers will win races in what could be an all-time classic F1 campaign. With 4 teams, McLaren, Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes, all harboring legitimate title aspirations, 2025 could deliver one of the most unpredictable seasons in recent memory. Meanwhile, David Croft made perhaps the boldest prediction of all, tipping Oscar Piastri to win 6 or more Grands Prix, a dramatic increase from his 2 victories in 2024. This would make the Australian a serious title contender and potentially complicate Norris's championship ambitions at McLaren. Hamilton's career has been defined by his ability to adapt and overcome. When he shocked the F1 world by leaving McLaren for Mercedes in 2013, many questioned his judgment. That gamble resulted in 6 world championships and established him as one of the greatest drivers of all time.
A very different sort of qualifying session. First of all, you were on the harder tyre compared with your teammate, if you could talk about that a little bit. And also, those rather strange delays before you went out for both runs. Was that your decision or the team holding you back?
Team was holding me back.
His F1 journey began alongside double world champion Fernando Alonso at McLaren, a baptism of fire that Hamilton remarkably emerged from, tied on points with his illustrious teammate. His partnerships with Jenson Button and Nico Rosberg produced intense rivalry and spectacular on-track battles, with the Rosberg duel culminating in one of F1's most controversial title fights in 2016.
Hienon kypärä ja koettiin nostaa paljon asioita, mitkä That's going to be 10-1.
That was 10-1.
With Valtteri Bottas, Hamilton found harmony, a partnership that yielded 4 consecutive Constructors' Championships for Mercedes. And while George Russell ultimately got the better of him in their final season together, Hamilton's ability to reinvent himself and rise to new challenges has been the hallmark of his extraordinary career. Now, he faces perhaps his greatest challenge, delivering success for F1's most storied team alongside Charles Leclerc, a hungry young talent who's firmly established as Ferrari's golden boy. Can Hamilton prove Brundle right and adapt to the Ferrari culture faster than many expect? What makes Brundle's prediction so fascinating is his intimate knowledge of Formula One. As a former driver and one of the sport's most respected commentators, Brundle has watched Hamilton's entire career unfold. He's witnessed firsthand Hamilton's ability to adapt, evolve, and silence critics. The move to Ferrari represents both enormous risk and potential reward for Hamilton. Success would cement his legacy as perhaps the most versatile driver in F1 history. Winning with 3 different teams would be unprecedented in the modern era. Failure would provide ammunition to those who believe his best days are behind him. Whether you believe Hamilton will triumph or struggle at Ferrari, one thing's certain. His debut in the famous red overalls will be one of the most watched moments in recent F1 history. Will Brundle's bold prediction come true? Or will Hamilton's Ferrari dream turn into a nightmare? For all the latest F1 news and analysis as we approach the new season, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be bringing you comprehensive coverage throughout 2025 as this fascinating story unfolds.
Lewis Hamilton has opened up about his decision to embrace a bachelor lifestyle, explaining that his focus remains entirely on his racing career as he aims to compete well into his 40s. The 7-time Formula One world champion emphasized that maintaining a single life allows him to dedicate himself fully to his craft, without the distractions that come with relationships and family commitments.